We gonna get real. I love that I'm wearing this shirt. It's such like a ma shirt, and that's exactly what tonight's live Q&A, my complimentary, twice weekly, #Whimsdom and guidance sessions. If you are new to this group, we do this every Monday and Friday. Is today Friday? Yes, today's Friday. Sometimes I get the day wrong. Every Monday and Friday, if you have questions, and I mean questions about anything that you're battling with in your day-to-day life, or if you have questions about what it's like to work with me one-on-one, whatever it is, submit your questions via message, or if you catch these live streams, you can pop them in the comments to be featured on the next one. And of course, if you have any questions about what we're going over in the moment, ask away. If you are viewing, hi viewers! If you are viewing, please pop a hello or a smiley or something below so that I know who you is, because I just see a number and an eyeball. And it's very voyeuristic, but that's okay. So tonight's questions are amazing. They are so amazing. They've been asked by 2 of my clients, and they needed addressing stat. And I'm so excited because 2 of them seamlessly flow together. They're almost the same question, if you kind of think about it. I'm going to start. We'll start with this first question. This is for you moms out there. So, I guess I'll give a little bit of an introduction. If you are also new, welcome to the Whimsical Rebel group. I'm so happy to have you here. Also, my name is Audrey Kent, and I am your guide through people-pleasing recovery. Let's get to it. So, the first question, I didn't write down how she actually worded it, but basically she was asking, is it selfish to not make your whole life about your kids? And I am paraphrasing, but basically she's saying, is it selfish to make late afternoon appointments when you have to go pick up your kids at school? And I'm sure we've all been in that situation where you feel bad for doing things that either you want to do or you feel you need to do in a different area of your life, but like maybe other people look down on you because they're like, well, why would you even do that? I mean, you have responsibilities elsewhere, blah, 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 blah. Hey, beautiful. Oh, I see a little face pop up. So it's actually, Melissa, if you have a better way of wording that, if I didn't word that quite right, you can type it below, because she is the one that asked this question. I don't know if that pops up on the playback. It'll just look like I'm tickling the corner and nothing's there, but Melissa's little emoji popped up. Anyway, so basically this is all about responsibilities versus perceived responsibilities. And I'm going to give you a fantastic tool to help you deal with the day-to-day guilt. And again, if you do not want to take my advice, because I am not a mother of like a human baby, I'm just a fur mommy and have an amazing sister, an amazing niece and nephew, an amazing mom, and tons of friends who are moms. But if you don't want to take my advice, that is totally fine. I will not be offended, but I do actually have insight on this because it is actually not much different when compared to responsibilities and perceived responsibilities of any other situation, mother or not. So here's how this works. Responsibilities and perceived responsibilities in our own mind are the exact same thing. There's like no differentiating them. It's like, I am responsible for this, either because it's my blood right, it's the way it is, or I said I was going to do it, whatever the case may be. And even when they're a perceived responsibility, a responsibility and a heaviness that we have put on ourselves, it can still be just as debilitating. It can still be just as heavy. It can still come with its own like train wreck of guilt alongside it, okay? So, the responsibilities that you place on yourself, the difference is responsibilities, real ones, and then the definition I like to use for perceived responsibilities those are the responsibilities that you place on yourself in the hopes of achieving some sort of social status. Even if it's not cognitive, even if it's subconsciously, sorry, I cannot think of words today, but even if it's just you're not doing it on purpose, it's a social status. It's an acceptance of some kind. It's a responsibility that you put on yourself to maintain a certain air of responsibility, a certain air of maturity, a certain air of having your shit together or keeping your child alive or whatever. Hey Amanda, hey guys. And it's such a potent thing when you put this on yourself. And it's so important to learn the difference. I'm giving you an awesome tool to do that. So what I want you to do, when you're feeling a guilt or worried that you're being selfish, or you're trying to decide whether or not you should do this thing that you're feeling really pulled to do, but it conflicts with your responsibilities or even your perceived responsibilities, I want you to do this, okay? It can be in your head, it can be on a piece of paper, it can be on your phone, whatever works for you, but make a list. You know I love my lists. Make a list of every responsibility you can think of surrounding whatever you're going through at the moment. So if it is your child, like I really need to do this thing, but it's really close to the time that I have to pick my child up from school, and I don't want to look like a shitheel of a parent by having something that might conflict a little bit, make a list. All of the responsibilities tied to this scenario, okay? And I want you to assign a value. Assign a feels value to this, because you purposefully assign value to everything in life. Whether it's a value that you kind of adopted from someone else, or whether it's a value that you just feel in your heart is right, you've assigned a value to it. Or society assigned one for you and you just like totally were like, yeah, that makes sense, whatever. 99 cents, sure. But what I mean by a feels value, a feeling value is, does completing this responsibility make you feel proud? Does it make you feel needed? I just grabbed 3 fingers for that. I don't know. Needed. Does it make you feel validated? Does completing this responsibility make you feel happy? Does it make you feel sexy? Does it make you feel appreciated? So there's going to be a feeling value that you've attached to successfully completing this responsibility, successfully maintaining this responsibility. And it can be a list, depending on the scenario, you might end up with a list of like 5 different responsibilities, okay? Or you might just have one resounding one. Either way, make sure you list how that responsibility makes you feel, the value you've placed on it. And I'm gonna tell you which ones you're gonna keep and which ones you're gonna throw out. So the ones, and you can just write check marks or X's, and there's gonna be some that are neutral, but the values that lift you up. So, and it sounds like they all lift you up, right? Like all the ones I listed, those all sound like good things. No. So if it makes you feel proud, not validated or appreciated, those are different things. If it makes you feel proud, that's a keeper. That's a check mark, okay? If it makes you feel happy, that is a check mark, okay? And if it makes you feel sexy, that's a check mark. Now, the tricky words are if it makes you feel validated. I want you to put an X there, okay? If it makes you feel needed, trigger word for people pleasers, I need you to put an X there, all right? If it makes you feel appreciated, it's kind of the same as needed. Go ahead and put an X there. Now, these aren't bad words. I'm getting to a point. Follow me. And there's going to be the neutral one of, does it make you feel productive? You can put like a little plus / minus, whatever you kind of feel like, or a little flat face, whatever you feel like means neutral for you. And what I want you to do is any of the ones with X's, throw them out. What I mean by throw them out is those are responsibilities that you need to delegate to someone else, that you need to reassess, reassign, reprioritize in your life. Take them off that upper echelon of responsibilities, because those are perceived responsibilities. If it's a responsibility that makes you feel needed to perform, that is a responsibility that you placed on yourself. A fantastic example. Sorry, Mom, I'm totally gonna throw you under the bus on this one, but she totally knows. My mom, she does everything in her power. She always did for us when we were children. She does this also for my niece for her 4-H. My mom always is involved. She's like, she announces at the shows. She pitches in for fundraisers. Like, she does everything she can, right? She's one of those moms. Like, she is there all the time helping, making sure that shit goes smoothly so that there is a horse show, so that there is a 4-H for the kids to participate in. And it is, sometimes that responsibility can seem crushing, especially when you have like real life shit going on around it. And I used to see this growing up, and I would see it like just piling on for her. And I see this now also with my niece. Now, yes, it is a responsibility that makes her feel so good, but It is a responsibility that makes her feel needed. It makes her feel accomplished. It makes her feel validated, like she's a damn good grandma, you know? She's a damn good mom. But it's a perceived responsibility. So, you know, my niece wouldn't die if my mom couldn't announce a show, or if maybe some things kind of went awry, or my mom had to like do her other real responsibilities, like taking care of herself. That is a real responsibility, you know? Doing your job to the best of your ability, whatever your job may be, it makes you happy. That's a responsibility, especially if you're a nurse. Hello, keep people alive. But you know, it's this, there's such a powerful difference between the two. So any one of the responsibilities that you assigned a value to that had the X, I need you to delegate to someone else, or be okay delegating to someone else. Give yourself that permission to delegate that to someone else, or reprioritize it and take it kind of off the top. Any of the ones with the checks, oh my God, those can stay your top of the top priorities, okay? Anything that does make you feel sexy, make you feel proud, make you feel happy, those are things. You're taking care of yourself, hitting personal goals that you want to in your life, making your child smile. Like, these things are just this in your core. They are your actual responsibilities, and it's so important to make sure that they get your attention versus perceived responsibilities. And the neutral ones, remember we talked about what's next, the what's next rule, the 10 minutes. What are you going to do with the next 10 minutes of your life? Are you going to make a positive energy choice or a negative energy choice? And it's okay if you make the negative energy choice. So this would be kind of like the dishes. Is it your responsibility to do the dishes? That's a perceived responsibility, and it's also a neutral one. You know, yeah, it can make you feel really productive and awesome to get things like that done, menial tasks like that done. It can actually make me feel really happy, but at the same time, it's pretty neutral, because some days it doesn't fucking matter, you know? So I want you to have this list, and whenever you feel totally overwhelmed and you feel bad, I want you to remember some things can be reprioritized, can be delegated. If something is conflicting with the time, it's encroaching on kind of the time that you need to pick up the kids. Picking up the kids is a responsibility, but it's also a perceived responsibility, because you're not the only human that can pick them up, right? I mean, some people absolutely are, but again, this is for you to suss out and figure out what is actually your sole responsibility in this life. But if there's someone else you can delegate this to, and there's a real priority that can go in that place, taking care of yourself. If mama needs a massage and the only opening before she loses her mind is kind of right at like 3 o'clock, maybe 4:30, it's okay. Delegate someone else to pick them up, and that doesn't make you a shitty parent at all. Oh my God, at all, okay? A prioritized you is a responsible you. And that's all you have to be a responsible, loving parent, is make sure that you are a priority and that you have delegated anything that's a perceived priority, or that you're okay delegating them. Okay? So I hope that helps with that first question. We're going to move on to the second question. The second question, oh, I like this one. I like this one so much. The second question, and I'm paraphrasing again because I didn't write down exactly how she asked it. The second question was, is it selfish to not put up with the typical man status? In other words, is it selfish to not let your significant other use that as an umbrella excuse? The exact instance she gave was, if you have found a babysitter to set aside time for your man, but then he went and made plans with his friends without even saying as much, do you just like, oh, whatever, typical man, and then you just have to get over it? Or is it selfish to be like, hold the fuck up? And y'all know what I'm going to say. Actually, you might not. You might not know what I'm going to say. So we're going to play around, because this goes pretty deep and goes immediately into our third question when we're done wrapping up the deepness. But I'm going to tell you that a typical man is not a thing. It's a stereotype. And by falling into it, by putting up with it and being like, oh, he's a typical man, whatever, I should expect it, or I should, just however you're getting yourself through the rest of that sentence, you're being just as sexist as when someone says, like, you know, a typical female driver, like, or a typical irrational female. Same thing. That there's no such thing. There is such thing as masculine energy and feminine energy, but you don't have to have a penis to have masculine energy, to be a very masculine driven person. So there isn't this typical man thing. There's different personality types in all people. And we're going to get through this by really breaking it down and being okay with acknowledging that some people exist on a masculine plane and some exist on a feminine plane, but realizing that masculine and feminine, those words, are just as neutral as black and white or opaque and transparent, that they are just as neutral as that while still holding their own divine, like their own divinity, their own power. And acknowledging that power is something that's going to help us remove the emotional charge. Yes, Melissa, like, don't give them that fucking excuse, because I would be pissed if someone gave, you know, Darren the excuse of, she's just being a hypersensitive chick. Fuck you. You know? So, so acknowledging the power that comes with the neutral terms, taking away the stereotypes of male and female, taking that away and just acknowledging it's a positive and negative energy, different sides, acknowledging that they're neutral while still holding on to their individual powers, because each side has such unique powers. And that's why there's such a beautiful yin and yang, and there's such a beautiful, not even like a darkness and a light, but they're just such a beautiful power couple to have both sides. But acknowledging that power is what's going to help us remove the emotional charge around whatever the situation at hand is, to see it for what it really is. I'm not saying you have to let someone off the hook. If your boyfriend's being a total doucher and like completely insensitive or whatever, your girlfriend, whatever, this isn't about letting them off the hook, but it's about removing the charge so that you can see into it clearly. Okay? So reminding yourself that this isn't about him having a penis. This isn't about you being a chick. This isn't about any bullshit stereotypes or societal norms. Remember, we are not about societal norms up and here. Yeah, okay? So it is about them having their own reactionary patterns and them being their own human. And you having your own reactionary patterns and you being your own human. And just bringing it down to that super neutral place of being like, okay, so it's not about me just being disrespected. It's not about sex. It's not about, you know, male versus female and the stereotypes. And then you can finally see, without all that bullshit, societal fuzzy bullshit, you can see what's really going on. And that's always, I want to be heard. I want to be understood. I want to feel respected. Right? That's always what it is. Always, always, always. So I wrote down a fantastic note because I knew I would forget it, or I would just get too caught up and ramble, as I always do. Okay, no, I was actually pretty good. So quick pause there. So yeah, so once you can remove that charge and you can get to the nitty gritty of, okay, I'm just feeling disrespected and unheard and it's pissing me off, then you have to take it upon yourself, because it is your responsibility throughout this entire life. It is your responsibility to speak up. To speak up. You have to do this quickly. You can't sit on it. You can't marinate on it. You can't piss on it and hide it for later. Let it ferment for a while. That was gross. I'm dealing with a puppy. I guess that's just in my head. You can't hide this shit. You have to do it quickly. You have to do it firmly. Doesn't mean you got to be a bitch. You got to throw salt on it. But quickly, firmly, communicatively. That's your job. Because this isn't about... of course it's about respect in a relationship, but this isn't, about leading their hand to what they did was wrong or what the resolution is. It's just about speaking up for yourself. The rest of it will suss itself out. If you stick up for yourself, if you show the fuck up for yourself, the rest of it will figure itself out. It's not your job. It's not your burden. It's not your cross to bear, okay? To be the one that has to decide. Is it just because he's a dude? Maybe I should give him a little more understanding, a little more breathing room. Maybe I should word it like this. You're both humans. You both have a responsibility to yourselves, first and foremost, okay? So speak up for yourself clearly, quickly, firmly, as you can, with no expectation that they're going to offer or complete a resolution, okay? Because here's where we get, and I do it all the time. I work out the scenarios in my head, and it goes and goes and goes, and I feel like we should come to the end-all resolution by the end of the conversation, or shit's sake, the whole relationship isn't worth it. And it's such a gross thing to do, but that's the control freak. That's how my control freak comes out. And it comes out for a lot of people pleasers because, again, it's a pattern of ours to have all of the fake conversations all at once and figure out all of the solutions for the other person. All you got to do, speak up clearly, quickly, firmly. Don't expect them to fix it because that will come. Just like I said, it will suss itself out. All you have to do in the moment is be like, blep, I feel disrespected. That's not cool. I went out of my way to do this because I thought that's what we were doing, and I think it's shitty you did this, and not hold this responsibility waiting for them to fix it. Maybe don't even expect them to apologize, because again, if they're not in the same place, they don't think they have anything to apologize for. They're just like, I don't know why you would feel that way. Okay, and they're going to handle it however they're going to handle it. And then you move on from there. Okay? Instead of having all of the conversations in your head or trying to have them with him, like, no, it's not just enough for you to apologize because then you're just going to do it again. Bitch, you can't tell the future. Or if you can, why are you still in that relationship, right? So it's not about you having all of those conversations and trying to get to the end of it. It's about you living the relationship. It's about things happening, you trying your best to get rid of the emotional charge that society puts on it, all the fuzz, getting down to the nitty gritty and going, I didn't like that. This is why. And then moving on and allowing the relationship to continue and blossom and do what it's going to do. And then if it happens again, see what happens, you know? Stick up for yourself again. Who knows? Maybe the next time you might be like, you said that last time you felt disrespected and shitty when I did that and I fucking did it again. I'm an asshole. I've seen it happen. And it's so surprising because it's just like, you can be taught. And I didn't have to do all that. And I didn't have to worry so much. And I didn't have to be the bearer of everything. And the anxiety and the teaching and the premonitions and all the other bullshit that you put on yourself. So allow the relationship to suss itself out, but only expect it to if you show the fuck up for yourself. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and parlay that into the third question. And the third question is a fantastic one. Holla, all you empaths out there. It's pretty much all of us, right? If you're a people pleaser, codependent, enabler, you're an empath. So this question was, as an empath, we love and care so deeply, and we're often misunderstood, and we often go unseen for all of our efforts, right? So how, and we can't expect others to love the same way that we do, to put in the effort that we do, to have all the fake conversations in their head and try and think of all the different scenarios like we do. We can't expect people to give what we give. So the question was, how do we give that to ourselves? How do we give ourselves that love and that compassion and help ourselves be understood to others and help ourselves feel seen? How can we do that? That is such a beautiful question because it sounds like it would be so easily answered with, oh, just love yourself, just give yourself self-love. But we can do one better. We can do one better than that. And the reason I'm glad that the before question was asked was because it helps us go deeper. Just like it is not your job, or it is not your partner's job to offer the resolution and fix everything right then. It's just their job to listen, hear you, and do what they're going to do with it. It's also not anyone else's job to make you feel understood and supported and loved and all that kind of stuff. But there's this weird fuzzy line that happens where it's this fine line between commanding your worth and being a pushover for people pleasers and empaths especially. It's that fine line of, I should take it upon myself because I understand that everyone's journey in life is different and just as beautiful, and people have different personalities, and maybe it's important to me to return calls immediately, but maybe it's not important to Susan. What the fuck ever, Susan. But as important as it is to be understanding and to be mellow and humble, you have to know that self-soothing is for fucking babies. It is for babies. You are an adult. You have a beautiful mouth, beautiful voice, and you have to use it. I love you too. You have to use it. Because self-soothing is something that if you can't tell the world what you need, and you're this tiny thing, and you think that because you are completely dependent. So yes, you should be expecting everything to come in when you scream, and then when they don't, you're like, well, fuck, am I gonna die? Or am I gonna lay here and figure out what the fuck to do with myself? Fingers, you're not a baby anymore. You don't have to self-soothe. You can use your words. And this is probably the only time that I'm gonna be like, fuck it, make your happiness their problem. It's not really what I'm saying, but it kind of is. But I'm gonna teach you guys, I'm gonna give you a specific tool. And I'm gonna teach you guys how to, because she specifically asked for something you can do in the moment when you're kind of feeling like, well, totally unseen, totally unheard, totally misunderstood, and no one's gonna love me like I'm gonna be able to love them. Fuck. So I'm gonna use the Susan analogy, and I'm gonna give you a tool that's gonna help you in the moment where you can distinguish whether something is, whether it's worth your, how did I word this in my head earlier? I'm pretty sure I wrote it down. Yes, okay, super important. Whether it's the situation, the person, whether Susan, I don't know a Susan, by the way. If there is a friend of my list named Susan, I'm not calling you out. I've just picked that name at random. But if it's worth voicing, and commanding your worth over, whether like me and Susan have a very symbiotic friendship, and I really like this person. But there seems to be a glitch. There seems to be something. Maybe I can see that she reads my texts and she just doesn't respond to them, and that's kind of triggering me a bit, and I don't do that, and I don't appreciate it. But other than that, everything in our relationships is really flowing and giving and receiving, right? Or it's worth cutting your cords. Just cutting your cords about it. We talked about this before, you guys, about cutting your cords and acknowledging, that their journey is just as beautiful as yours. They have their own personality, their own way of doing things, and maybe they don't place the same value of, maybe she doesn't get offended when she sees that you see her text. It doesn't even occur to her, and whether or not it's the kind of friendship where you're like, okay, I don't need to expound my energy on this. I don't need to feel bad about this. At the same time, I don't need to feel rushed to answer her messages because I know that she doesn't place a really high value on that. So yeah, maybe she's not a super symbiotic relationship, but she's not doing me any harm. I do like her, and we do help each other in ways, and we'll just connect whenever she pops up. Cool, Or whether you need to just throw up them deuces, be like, kick rocks, bitch. I deserve more than that. So this tool is going to help you, and for anyone just tuning in, I have not given the tool yet, but because I keep rambling. But this tool is going to help you be able to decide that in that moment, to help you kind of get away from that urge to self-soothe. Because when we try to expound all this extra energy on someone, when we're trying to, even when we're trying to give, it's kind of like giving excuses for why they're an asshole. Because, not saying that Susan's an asshole, but if someone's not living up to your standard, whatever that standard is, even if they're not doing it in a mean way, you're expounding extra energy on trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out if there's something lying underneath it. Trying to figure out Why you waste your time giving all this extra to people? That's not the thing. You don't have to self-soothe. You don't have to pull back your fucking love. Like, you need to surround yourself with people that love how you love. And people that can love you that same way. We're not a super rare breed, you guys. There's so many of us out there. It's not like world, a little group of empaths and the whimsical rebel. Like, there's so many people out there. It's all about you not self-soothing and you being okay with commanding your worth and deciding what is going to be the kind of support that you want in your life, so that it makes it so much easier in the moment to decide whether or not it's worth getting pissed off, whether it's worth just kind of cutting your cords a little, or whether or not it's worth really sitting down and talking to someone and being like, listen, yo, if we're going to be friends, I thought we were really jiving, but this isn't cool for me. And this is kind of tugging, and I feel like, if I'm giving this, you should give this. So the tool is, and I love this, you're going to design your support. And I want you to make more lists. I want you to make a list of it's kind of like when you make a list of like your dream best friend. And if this situation for you is coworkers or relationships or friendships, pick which one, or you can make a list for all of them if you're feeling super ambitious. But instead of making a dream list of all the attributes that you want, I want you to make a fucking nightmare list. Make a list of all the non-negotiables that you just are done fucking putting up with. Not cool. Like, just you don't even have time for. Make a list of those non-negotiables. And this is going to be like your nightmare friend. And I'm sure you have people in your life that you can use as a stencil for this. That's not the right word. Whatever. But you're going to make your nightmare list. And those are going to be your non-negotiables. Okay? And then I want you to make your dream list. Your ideal list. Your manifestation list for this type of support that you want in your life. The reason I want you to do it in this order is because knowing what you don't fucking want is going to make knowing what you want so much clearer. So much clearer. Because especially if you're a people pleaser, when you start just trying to make a list of what you want, you start second guessing it. You start Rumpelstiltskinging it. You start going, I want someone that is super supportive. But I mean, not like too supportive, like not like creepy, or, not like supportive just because they want to be there if I fall from really high heights, or like, and it just ends up getting this weird spiral down because all you hear in the back of your head is careful what you wish for. And it's just kind of like a trap for other anxieties and those sneaky fears to keep bubbling up. So if you're just beginning on your people-pleasing journey, I cannot stress this enough. Figure out what you don't want. And it's going to make what you do want that much clearer. And a very important thing, take your nightmare list. Once you have your dream list figured out, the clarity of your dream list, take your nightmare list, throw it the fuck away, burn it, shred it, whatever, get rid of it. Wipe your hands clean, because there is some negative, nasty, old life shit in there, and you don't need it anymore, okay? But just know that once you throw that away, you're throwing that out of your life. You need to respect yourself and not put up with any of the shit on that list ever again, okay? Whether that is having an awkward conversation with someone that you really feel you have a symbiotic relationship with and you want to keep having that relationship with to command your worth, or whether it is simply acknowledging that maybe they're not that kind of person in your life, but you still love them and you're going to cut your cords and just be there whenever you need to be in the future if they feel like popping up, but you're not going to expound that extra energy on them anymore. Or third, you need to tell them to kick rocks. All right? So I love you guys so much. I know this was a long night, but we just had 3 amazing questions that I couldn't address all on their own because they were just so beautifully intertwined. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, we do this every Monday and Friday. Send me your questions in a private message, or if you would like to put them in the comments of these live streams, totally cool too. But again, if you want to be anonymous, you send them to me in a private message. I love you guys so much. Go out there and have an amazing, responsible, self-loving, not self-soothing weekend. And here is one last final amazing word, and I wrote it down because I wanted to say it exactly how I heard it in my head, because this is super important. The answer to that last question in a beautiful little bow is you are going to give those things to yourself, that love, the caring, the understanding, the feeling seen. You're going to give those things to yourself, not by supplying them. yourself like a supplement for the love that you really want, but by representing all you have to give as the badass gift it is. All that love is such a badass gift, and not giving it away for free. I love you guys. Happy weekend.